Hey everyone! Today, we're diving deep into the engine room of India's economy, its massive manufacturing sector. We're going to look at everything from the steel that literally builds the country to the software that connects it to the world. This is really the story of how a modern nation gets built.
Our whole story really starts with this one powerful idea. You see, the iron and steel industry isn't just another industry. It's the backbone of everything else. It's the skeleton that holds the entire economic body up. Without it, pretty much nothing else can stand tall.
And that, right there, leads us to the huge question we're tackling in this explainer. What does it actually take to forge a nation's industrial backbone? And maybe more importantly, what's the real cost of all that progress? We're going to get into both the incredible effort and the serious challenges.
Okay, let's start with the big picture. Why is manufacturing so incredibly vital for a country's development? As we're about to see, it's about way more than just making stuff.
So, at its very core, what is manufacturing? Well, it's this almost magical process of transformation. You take raw materials, things like cotton or iron ore or sugarcane, and through human smarts and powerful machines, you turn them into finished products that are so much more valuable.
And this is where you can really see how manufacturing connects all the dots. I mean, of course, it's a huge piece of the economic pie and creates tons of jobs, but it also builds up national strength. See, when a country makes its own goods, it doesn't have to rely on others as much. It can even help its own farmers by making the tools they need. It creates this amazing cycle of self-reliance.
Okay, now let's zoom right back in on that backbone we talked about. To really get a handle on why manufacturing is so important, you have to understand the iron and steel industry. Why? Well, because almost every other industry out there depends on it.
And here's why that backbone metaphor is just so perfect. The steel that gets made becomes the essential ingredient for, well, everything. We're talking about the car you drive, the machines in other factories, even the very framework of the buildings we live and work in. If you don't have a strong steel industry, the rest of the industrial body just can't function.
And this isn't just some abstract idea. Just look at the real-world history of a giant like the ISCO steel plant. It was founded way back in 1918, so it's been a part of India's story for more than 100 years. Now it's part of a bigger entity, SAIL, and it's constantly upgrading to compete on the world stage.
Now, one of the really key things to understand about India's industries is this mix of public and private power. On one hand, you have these huge government-owned companies like SAIL, which were created to drive national development. And on the other hand, you have private giants like Tata Steel, who are often seen as being more nimble and competitive globally. This whole dynamic really defines the sector.
All right, so we've looked at the backbone. Now let's zoom the camera out again to see the incredible variety of manufacturing happening all across the country. It is a vast and really diverse landscape.
You can kind of categorize all this variety by looking at what they start with, their raw materials. So you've got agro-based industries that use crops like cotton. Then there are mineral-based ones that use ores dug from the ground. And then you have the modern powerhouses in IT and electronics, where the key raw material isn't something you find in the earth, but in the brilliant minds of the people working there. And these industries aren't just scattered around randomly. They tend to cluster together in certain regions for really logical reasons. The big steel plants like in Jamshedpur and Bhilai are right near their raw materials on the Chhattisgarh Plateau. Cotton mills thrive in places like Mumbai and Surat, and cities like Bengaluru and Noida. Well, they've become these incredible global hubs for software, creating these massive tech parks.
Now, this explosion of industrial growth it's really impressive, but it forces us to face a very difficult question, one that every single industrial nation has to deal with. What is the environmental price we pay for all of this progress?
The thing is, the environmental impact isn't just one thing. It's really multifaceted. We're talking about 4 major kinds of industrial pollution. You've got air pollution from smokestacks, water pollution from industrial waste, land getting ruined by, more waste, and even noise pollution from the constant drone of machinery.
But the story doesn't just stop at the problem. For each of these issues, there are real, sustainable solutions that are being put into practice. Industries are installing treatment plants to clean water before it's released. They're adopting cleaner tech and slowly shifting to renewable energy. These are all absolutely critical steps to try and limit the damage.
And beyond the environment, the hurdles they're immense. Production costs can be really high.
partly because of tricky logistics or energy prices. A lot of the smaller sectors are kind of stuck with old technology, which makes it super hard to compete with global players. And the race to build better infrastructure, reliable electricity, good roads, it's a constant battle just to keep up.
So, where does India go from here? With all these huge challenges, but also this incredible potential, let's take a look at the roadmap for the future of manufacturing.
Well, the path forward really needs action on a bunch of different fronts at once. It means jumping in with both feet on modern tech and automation just to stay in the game. It means continuing to build out better roads, ports, and power grids. Crucially, it means making sustainable environmental habits the norm, not just an afterthought. And finally, it means crafting smart policies that make people want to invest and innovate.
When you boil it all down, it all comes back to this one critical thing: balance. The goal can't just be growth no matter what it costs. It has to be about building a powerful, modern industrial economy that can also last for generations to come.
So we'll leave you with this final question to think about. As India continues on this path to becoming a global manufacturing leader, how can it successfully walk that very fine line between massive economic ambition and the vital need to protect its environment and its people? The answer to that is going to define its future.